Welcome to another Ask Anita from Philadelphia. It's kind of a rainy afternoon here, and I'm still having lots of fun, I have to admit, hearing some great music, in particular, this band, House of Hats. If you ever get a chance to see this band, do it before they get so big you can't get a ticket. They're really great. You can YouTube, you can Google, you can find out as much as you'd like to know about House of Hats. So that was a great night. And thanks for those of you who keep tuning in to hear me read from my book, You Turn Me On My Radio, My Wild Rock and Roll Life. We're going to pick up where we left off. And if you've got the book at home, we're on at the bottom of page 28. That's how it used to be when we used to go to services, right? Follow along, read along. Okay, here we go. In 1964, I was 12 years old when Dick Clark's American Bandstand relocated to Los Angeles. I was crushed when I realized I would never dance on the show surrounded by girls in Catholic school uniforms. Eventually, I forgave Dick Clark and continued to watch American Bandstand on television, along with my other favorites, Shindig, Hullabaloo, and Soul Train. I still remember the night I saw the Kinks perform that guitar solo during You Really Got Me. I wanted to be one of the dancers in the background with the go-go boots and the long, straight hair. When I got to high school, I still had a need to dance in public, even though my moves were awful. Think Elaine from Seinfeld. On weekends, I went to one of two dances hosted by local radio personalities, Jerry Blavat, who called himself the Geeter with the heater, or the boss with the hot sauce, and Ron Cutler, better known as Ron Diamond, the atomic mouth. Before radio, Jerry Blavat did everything from managing bands like Danny and the Juniors, who had a hit with At the Hop, to working as Don Rickles' valet. Blavat got his start in radio in 1960, and by 1963, he had a syndicated show and hosted dances at schools like St. Francis in Ventnor, New Jersey. I practiced my moves to his weekly show called The Discophonic Scene. In 1962, Ron Diamond was hosting dances at the Starlight Ballroom, and by 1966, he had the #1 radio show on WTTM. His dances were attended by hundreds of kids. These DJs were bigger local stars than the television newscasters. When I went to the Ron Diamond dance at the Edgeley Fire Hall near Bristol, Pennsylvania, I made my mom drop me off a block away. I told her it was because I was embarrassed that my mom had to drive me to the dance, but it was really because I didn't want her to see the boys being frisked at the door for weapons. My new black leather jacket was stolen the first time I wore it. My mom wouldn't let me go there again. It was just as well. I was 16 years old and started to dress like Janis Joplin. My first life-changing concert was Janis Joplin with Big Brother and the Holding Company at the Electric Factory at 22nd and Arch Streets in Philadelphia. The Electric Factory venue was a converted warehouse that opened in 1968. The 5 men who built it, Jerry Allen and Herb Spivak, Shelley Kaplan, and Larry Magid, set the stage, pun intended, for Philadelphia to become a powerful concert town. Before Electric Factory, musicians gathered in Rittenhouse Square and on Sansom Street in coffee houses like Gilded Cage and the Second Fret. There was a psychedelic club called Kaleidoscope, which was an old movie theater on Main Street in Manayunk, right outside Philadelphia. Manny Rubin, the owner of the Second Fret, later opened a club on Sansom Street called The Trauma. Local bands, Mandrake Memorial and Woody's Truck Stop, featuring a guy from Upper Darby, Pennsylvania named Todd Rundgren, played there. In 1966, Joni Mitchell performed at the Second Fret when she was still married to Chuck Mitchell. By 1968, all the rock and roll bands were coming to Philadelphia to play. When the Electric Factory opened in February 1968, the Chambers Brothers were the headliners. The Jimi Hendrix Experience performed 2 shows each night at the Electric Factory. On February 21st and 22nd, the opening act was Woody's Truck Stop. Country Joe and the Fish played on March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and Janis Joplin with Big Brother and the Holding Company came to town for 2 shows on March 15th and 17th. I took the train from Levittown to 30th Street Station in Philadelphia and walked to the Electric Factory. When I entered the dark, smoky theater, I was temporarily blinded by throbbing strobe lights and spinning mirror balls. I staggered through a foggy tunnel filled with black lights, day-glow paint, and a guy in a gorilla suit. I found a seat on the floor just as Janis took the stage. The band started playing Piece of My Heart. Janice took a swig of wild turkey, and at that moment, I swore I'd find a way to see every rock and roll band that came to town. Okay, that's it for this week. We'll pick up where we left off next week. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.